Forget Medea. We got
All
Pam.
right.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Real Talk. Glad you could join us this evening. We have an amazing topic to talk about tonight. But as you guys can see, the regular cast is all here for the first time in a long time. This is your regular cast. This is the four of us that you will see every week on the show, along with we may have a guest here and there. So I'm sure you guys know everybody, but because this is a new show, let's just do a real quick. My name is Rob. I'm your moderator this evening. We have Miss Beautiful Alicia, who's our producer. And we have Pam and Zen Maiden. Okay, you guys, we all have huge different backgrounds and journeys and everything that's led us to where we're at. Tonight, we're going to talk about what we learn from our mistakes. How many times do we have to make the same mistake, yet we can't change ourselves, or we can't change the way we do things, or if we do, it takes us a long time, and then we fall back into those old habits. So we're going to share our viewpoints and opinions on this, and we want you guys to do the same in the comment section, and we're going to share those tonight as the show goes along. This topic is a topic that can be very deep and emotional for a lot of people, so just bear with us as we talk about it if it becomes emotional and that kind of a thing. We want to remind you guys at the start of the show that next Friday, the 22nd, is our Christmas show. So we really want you guys here to celebrate that with us. It's going to be amazing, fun, all kinds of good things going on next Friday as well. I'm sorry, next Monday as well as today, this Monday. I got my dates mixed up. I'm sorry about that, you guys. It's Monday the 22nd. I apologize about that. Okay, so let's talk about this with amongst us real quick and see what our feelings are on it. I just want to ask you guys, why do you think either people as a whole, and everybody's different, so we really can't speak for them, but why do you think people as a whole can't learn from their mistakes? Or why do you think we have problems learning for certain mistakes if we are? Let's start with Alicia. Alicia, what's your thoughts on this?
Well, I think it's just that it's so much easier just to, like we work really hard on trying to change ourselves and change our lifestyles, and it's so easy to revert back to, like eating crap or not exercising or just doing nothing. It's so easy. Like that's the easy part. And I think that when you have to like look at yourself and look at your life and what you've screwed up, it's hard. It's emotionally hard, physically hard. Like it's hard to see that we fucked up.
Right.
It's hard.
I agree. And what about you? What is your thoughts on the whole thing? Why do we continue to make the same mistakes, not learn from them, be able to change them?
Well, I think for me, like, I constantly, when I stop, like with my weight loss or my food and stuff like that, I'm like fearful of how things are going to be when I do change, and it is easier to fall back. It's almost easier for me to fail rather than succeed because I have that fear of what's coming around the corner kind of thing. But I don't know, I just feel like we get comfortable in these little ruts and stuff like that, and it's just easy to fall back into that and feel like it's too hard to start again. But then you do, and it's just a vicious cycle.
Yes. Zen, what about you?
Well, I know conditioning, the way we've been conditioned our whole lives, as far as eating is concerned, is all having to be undone in the journey. And making those new steps and gradually, one step at a time, changing this and changing this. And why we fall back, I think is, again, going back to conditioning, and old habits die hard. They really do. So I think that in some ways we can change a lot of the things that we do, that on the other hand, some of those ingrained things, like when times get tough or, pressure is on, sometimes we revert back to some of those behaviors really without a whole lot of thought. And it becomes maybe unconscious, whereas most of the time you're conscious, conducting your journey, and you have this moments of stress and you're like unconsciously just grabbing the whatever it is and shoving it in your mouth.
Yes. I think I agree with pretty much what all of you guys have said, with the added of, I think for those of us that have an addiction is very hard to break. It's not about if everyone remember to brush your teeth. That's something to do if you have a problem with it in the morning. But this is something that you eat several times a day. If you have an addiction to eating, the eating can be nonstop. There's not People usually brush their teeth in the morning. I'm just using this as an example. Eat at night, maybe in the afternoon after they eat, but not necessarily, right? But you eat all day, and if you're an addict, food is on your mind constantly, whether it's good food, bad food, holiday food, whatever the case might be. So I think that it's hard, and why we can't learn from our mistakes. I think several things. Maybe we don't want to. Maybe, like Pam said, we're afraid of the change that would come about. This is going to change my whole life. I'm going to be a different person. Or am I going to think I'm above people now? Because sometimes when you lose that lot of weight, you turn into where you're not friends with the same people anymore, that kind of thing. To the aspect that I said about being an addict. So I think there's a huge range here from A to Z, and we all probably look at it as a different way. But thank you guys for sharing those. The viewers, please weigh in and let us know your thoughts. Let's go a little bit deeper on the topic, though, and talk about some of the mistakes that we personally feel we may have made and either took us a long time to correct, or maybe still haven't corrected those and don't know if we're ever going to be able to correct those. So let's start with Zen Maiden. Zen, what do you think mistakes that you continue to make and you don't understand why you can't do it, and do you think you'll be able to conquer those?
Well, I don't think I'm ever going to be perfect, for sure. So some of the mistakes I've made have been succumbing to stress and stress eating here and there. I've definitely done that. I've definitely indulged in quantities that are larger than my allowance, so to say. Not mass quantities, but I don't take mass quantities to gain weight. Basically, once the altered, procedure takes place on weight loss surgery patients, after a point in time, they don't really have to do a whole lot to gain weight. So some of the mistakes, again, I've made are stress eating and overeating at times. And also, I think I've made poor choices on occasions. Where I should have gone with X, I went with Y. So, and will I ever be able to correct that? I think yes. I think I can correct a lot of it. But I think as far as it being a perfect even road for me, I don't see that happening. I think that I'm always going to have, go along and then bump, and go along. That's life. That's real life for me.
Okay. And Alicia, what about you?
I think that my whole life I've been like a food addict, and it's just not something that I've actually come to the realization that I will always, even though I've had weight loss surgery, I will always be a food addict. Like I just will. Like there's some things that just get to me. I told people it's like, what do I crave? And one thing is that I can crave. I really will sit here and I'll drive down the street, and every freaking restaurant or fast food that I drive by, I'm like, oh, that sounds so good. Oh, that sounds like everything, I can't get away from food. And I've always made poor choices, and, but it's something that I have always felt like I wasn't good enough. So, I use food to abuse myself. It's just something. I don't feel like I've done like mass quantities like some people, who binge. I don't feel like I've been like that, but I've eaten things that have are maybe bigger sizes than most do, but that have tons of calories, But I will always be a food addict, and
Right.
I can't.
The,
Huh?
the, the thing I want to point out too, because we're always really about keeping it real, and I would say this about myself. I think I know Alicia well enough to say it. I've watched shows with people that are very large. I used to be very large also. I wasn't in the category that you were, Alicia, and I'm not shaming you or nothing. That's just,
no, I know that.
We were at different places. This is the thing. On these shows that I've seen people will say that were morbidly obese or obese say, well, I didn't eat any different than somebody that's normal size. And I'm sorry, but in my opinion, that's bullshit. You didn't get to 600, 700 pounds, or in my case, 22, from eating a normal size amount of food. And it went on to show that in this particular show where this lady did have the surgery, she ended up passing away after she had the surgery due to complications from it. Her daughter had said before she had died that when her mom said, I don't eat different than anybody else or anything like that, and her mom was bedridden, she couldn't even move. The daughter's like, that's not true. She eats like massive amounts of food and stuff like that. And I think you do it because you are the center of attention, or we are, and you don't want that. So you try to make it seem like, I don't eat like that. When like I used to make excuses on how I would eat. And I did it or I eat secretly and stuff because I didn't want people judging me. Or I'd say, well, I don't understand how I get so big because I don't eat that much. And child, I'm tearing shit up left and right behind the closed door. You know what I mean? So there's stuff involved with it, right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's not just, what I'm saying is, I would eat, for a meal, what I would consider the people in my house, we would all have the same size. But then the thing is that I might get later, eat more, it wouldn't all be at once, but it would be throughout the day, and that's what I did and stuff. And it's like, and I never really saw the person that I really was, that I see in the pictures now. I never really saw how big I really was. I looked in the mirror all the time at myself. I know some people say they can't even look at in the mirror at themselves. I looked in the mirror all the time. I didn't see the 600-pound person. I just didn't see it, So I continued to make myself believe it was okay. I was okay, and stuff. And there are times, even now, after having surgery, I still am like, well, yeah, maybe I shouldn't be eating this, but it's okay because I can't eat as much. And that's one thing I hear a lot of people saying. It's okay because I can't eat as much because my stomach's not as big. So I don't eat as much. So it's okay if I eat it.
Yeah.
And it's not. It's not.
Notice, we're going to go to Pam in a second, and if anybody wants to jump in at any time for your viewpoints and opinions, go ahead. But I did want to point out, too, and I'm not pinpointing out anybody versus weight loss surgery or non-weight loss surgery, but we do see a lot in the weight loss surgery community that after people have had surgery and they get to a certain point, they get a lot more into the drinking phase of drinking alcohol. And you see that a lot, and some people it wreaks havoc on, and some it doesn't. And since I've never had surgery, I don't understand the rhyme or the reason behind why that happens. I don't know if it's because, like myself, when I would go out before, I was so fat and I felt like I was the center of attention that I didn't want to draw attention to myself by drinking or getting bigger. Or I just stayed in the house because I didn't want to go out no more because I was so big. And now that I've lost weight and stuff, I can go out, and drinking is part of having fun and stuff. It's almost sometimes like we're playing catch up for something that we feel we missed out on. But we can come back to that. Let's, Pam, what about you, Pam, on this mistakes that you feel maybe you've made or continue to make and you just can't get them under control?
I would say my biggest thing is the self-sabotage. I let myself, this last year, I let myself lose 10 or 15 pounds, and then I start freaking out, get weird and emotional, and then I sabotage myself, binge eat, and put it right back on. And it's just been continuous. But I don't think I'll deal with that forever, but, I know that it's a matter of kind of working through my issues to figure out why I'm doing that, which I am doing. But there's that, and then there's, I have really bad anxiety, so I always talk myself out of going outside, leaving my home, and I need to go outside and leave my home in order to exercise, because I need to exercise to lose weight, and that's I don't know. That's like a thing with me. But I'm usually good, like, as long as I don't miss a day. Once I miss a day, I start talking myself out of going, and that's continuous. That's been my issue for a long time.
Okay, and we do have in the comment section, we did have why is there no chat option when I click participate. I'm not sure why that's happening, but go ahead and just leave your questions or anything you want to in the comment section, and we will get to those from there. Michael BSG is watching. Khalif is here with the Renew Show, so we want to thank you guys for sharing your Monday evening with us. I want to touch base real quick before we move on about the same thing. I have a lot of things that I feel like that I just can't correct the mistakes. Like one that stands out is I just came back from a 2-week vacation, like a 2.5 week vacation. And on that vacation, I gained 12 pounds again. And in my mind, I tried to justify because the first year that I was on my weight loss journey, I gained 12.8 pounds. And so I justified gaining 12 pounds by saying, well, at least I didn't gain as much as I did the first time. It was almost in my mind, if I keep it under this, it's going to be okay. And when I went, I had the best intentions to stay on track. But within a matter of 4 hours of being there, it was like, oh, hell no, you know, let's stop. You know, starting, you know, it does sound funny, but it's frustrating because it's something that I really have trouble grasping. And my family is a family that wraps a lot of our celebrations, whether it be weddings, family reunions, the death of people that we love and know, to just hanging out for birthdays and stuff, all around food. And I know we're not the only family that does that, but it's a daunting task because once I mess up and I've went that far, then I start to justify, well, I'm on vacation, so I can continue to do it, and I'll get back on track when I get back. And then I'm miserable from everything that's within inside of me. But I watched a show the other day on Netflix, and it's called Hungry for Change. And if you guys have not seen this, it is absolutely amazing. Called that I liked it, but it didn't hit me. It didn't all register with me. I thought, oh, I've been there, I've lost the weight, I'll get there eventually. That's what I thought when I watched that. When I watched Hungry for Change, it really did click in my mind. And if you guys haven't watched this, I would recommend it. It's amazing, and it talks about self-love, and I think there's things in there. There was a lot of things in there. I don't know with all the people that were on there. It was many different viewpoints. I know if I could do everything that everyone does, because some of it seems extreme to me on like their eating and stuff, but I know to change certain things in certain ways, and I know the way that I'm doing it now is not working. It's not working for me, you guys. I'm admitting that here tonight on the show. So I have a lot of things that I have to look at and consider and change. Does anybody want to weigh in on what we just talked about at all before we go in a little bit of a different direction?
Well, I think that, you know, I think when you say change, like, I think change is just, it's hard. Like, it is so hard, you know? And we have it in our minds that we're going to change and I'm going to do this, this, and this. But then to actually put it in motion, that's the hard part, you know? It's like, tomorrow I'm going to change. I'm going to change this and this and this. And then it's like, you get there, and I fail within the first hour. You know, I can do it for an hour, and then it's like, forget it, you know?
And Khalif brings up a good point. He says, Rob, I'm the same. I used to give myself fake limits and say that I was fine as long as I was under a certain level. But I would just push the number higher when I would hit it. And so we change to accommodate our actions, what we're doing, and then we kind of hold ourselves fakely accountable for things. There's been times where I've held myself accountable and took responsibility for things, and there's things where I've done it because I knew that's what people would want to hear. And I thought that that was the right thing to do. But that's an important thing. So let's talk about what Khalif just brought about, because it goes into the same thing we're talking about. What about setting fake limits and setting things, you know, damn well that you're just setting it to make yourself feel okay or to justify your actions, that are about to come just a few hours maybe down the road. Because I'll tell you what, when me and my mom getting ready to go for my sister's birthday, I got in that car saying, oh, I'm going to be good, and I knew damn well whatever was being served there, I was going to throw down. I knew that getting into that car, but yet in my mind, I played it off like, oh, I'm going to do so good and I'm going to stay on track, when I knew damn well I was lying to myself. So let's go there, Zen. What about fake limits and really maybe fakely taking your responsibility? Have you seen that? Is that what you do? Have you done it? What about that?
I don't know. I don't know if I actually put like fake limits on stuff. You know, I obviously let myself creep up farther than I should sometimes, but I don't know if I've ever actually put like a number on it, like, oh, I can gain 3 pounds and I'll be okay with that, because I'm never okay with any of it. But it does happen, and sometimes it just really freaks me out when I see the scale going up, and I know there have been times when I haven't been doing anything different. So going back to the times when you know you're doing something different, right, and causing your own gain, then it just like goes through my whole body with horror. And I don't actually set like a face limit, but I keep telling myself, oh my God, if you go up another pound, you know, you're going to have to like have bread and water, so to say. And I don't mean bread. Right. Synthetic bread, only water. Yeah, the whole thing just shocks my body, my whole mind, my mind when I get on the scale and I see that I've gone up like 3-4 pounds, or even after Chinese food, like 5 and 6 pounds. Even if some of that is water, it just shakes me to the core and messes with my mind. So, yeah, I don't really like you do, Rob. I haven't set a limit saying, okay, I'm going to this party and I can do this and this and then go ahead and do this, this, and this. I just go ahead and go, and I just hope that I keep myself in check as much as I can. You know what I'm saying? So in that way, I do it a little different than you, but with the same thing in mind. Okay, I'm going to try to be good. Not perfect, but good, you know?
And I think the severity of where someone goes with it, like you were saying, yours and I's is different, and we do things different ways. I think it has to do with there's many factors, but we may have different goals ultimately, as far as little mini goals and things like that, or our addictions maybe at a different level and things like that. I really think are all contributing factors. And we're going to go to Alicia in just a second, and then Pam, because I definitely want to get your guys' opinion on this that we're talking about. But I do want to say, when I was watching that video the other day, one of the doctors on there, she said one of the things she did for years was she would write her patients a prescription. And on it, it would say, I accept myself unconditionally right now. And she had them put that on their mirror in their bathroom and say it to themselves twice a day. And after about 28 days, the way these people acted changed, because you have to have self-love. We have to quit beating ourselves down. She said, now as you're doing it, things are going to come up saying, look at your thighs, look at that cellulite, and we beat ourselves up. These are things we're saying. You're 30 years old and you have nobody. You're a middle-aged woman and you have a bunch of cats. These, you're a worthless piece of shit. These things are things that we are going to say to ourselves, but after we look in the mirror and we say, I accept myself unconditionally right now, looking into our own eyes and saying that enough, it will change. I honestly believe that. So this is something that I've started doing, and I'm going to see where it takes me and stuff, because I know I get out of the shower and I look in the mirror and I think, what a wreck. When I'm clothed, I don't have the same reaction, but when I'm not clothed, I'm like, what a mess. And I start picking myself apart. So I want to get to a part where I love myself no matter how I am, but realize I got to move forward for my health and for my wellness. Alicia, let's go to you on this, and then we're going to go to Pam. Where do you find yourself with what we were talking about?
Well,
the fake goal.
Yeah, Well, when I think about going places, I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna do this. I'm gonna do this, and then it seems to start that spiral down for me to be like everything I see like I will think of food the whole time. I will think about food. Or I'll think about, okay, when I go somewhere with someone and I will just eat like this, and then when I get home, then I can eat more, you know. Or a lot of times my family, people I'm around, they tend to tell me, it's okay. Just just having a little bit, it's okay. You know, I have a lot of people in my life who tell me it's okay. You know, it's okay if you have like a little piece of that or a few bites of that, or, you know, it's just one time. But for me, it's never one time. It's never just a little piece. You know, it just isn't. And I constantly think about food. I mean, honestly, I'm sitting here right now thinking about food.
Your
Like,
mouth is watering.
right?
Yes, you know, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I'm sitting here because, like, I just got back from working out, and I didn't even have time to, like, eat. So I'm like, what can I eat when I get off of here? You know, it's just like food is constantly on my mind. I can't ever get in to sit there. I will constantly tell myself, I'm only going to have this, but then it's like, well, if I just have a few more bites, it's okay, you know. I give myself excuses, like the excuses I give myself are okay, you know. They're valid. I think they're valid. Or, you know, one thing that I hear a lot of people do, it's like, well, I gained a couple pounds, but that was just water weight. It was water, you know. And I was watching a show that where these people who were like 600 plus pounds, they were like had surgery or whatever, and they tell the doctor, well, it's just water weight. Like, I gained 20 pounds of water weight. And the doctor's like, you did not drink that much water to have that much water weight. You just didn't, you know? You would be
Right.
drowning yourself in water. And I hear that, and it's like, we make excuses for ourselves all the time. You know, we make excuses on why we gain that weight or whatever, and you know, and it's just like, I'm tired of excuses. Like, I am seriously tired of making excuses for myself, you know,
Yeah.
just tired of it.
It becomes
And
a vicious cycle.
it does. And the other thing I wanted to say, you were talking about self-love, is that I actually did that for a long time on my bathroom mirror. I took um, one of those dry board eraser markers, you know, and I on there, I'm beautiful. You know, I wrote stuff on my mirror, so every time I would go, I would see this. And I even had a couple friends come over, and like they made fun of me for it, you know. And I was like, I don't care. Like, I truly believe that we have to like love ourselves for exactly who we are right now, today. We can't say, I used to tell myself, if I just lose 100 pounds, life is gonna be like wonderful. Well, I've lost almost 200 pounds, and life is not that wonderful, you know, and stuff.
Now,
I think self-love is huge.
did it work for you? Because I want to ask something, but did it work for you?
It did.
I,
It did.
I think it did too, Elise. And the reason I say that is I went back and watched one of your first videos from when I started following you not too long ago. And I mean this with no disrespect, but you were a wreck. You were,
Oh, I was.
and you are completely different now than how I remember you back when I first started following you.
Yeah.
You have more life to you. You're more vibrant. Everything isn't doom and gloom. So I think that it probably worked for you, as you said it did, because I can
It did.
truly notice the difference.
No, it did. It did, because I truly thought that I was just a gross, disgusting, and ugly. And another thing that helped me so much is that I put the word beautiful in front of my name. And I've had people say, well, that's not your given name. No, it's not. It's not my given name. But you know what? That's just what I go by now, is beautiful Alicia, and because that's how I see myself now. And truly writing that on the mirror and seeing that every single day, reminding myself to look in the mirror every single day. And another thing that helped me is just to tell myself, look in the mirror and say, okay, what do I like today about myself? I don't care if it's like my eyebrows or my ear or something so little, but I always encourage people to look at themselves in the mirror and tell them, okay, today I like this about me. You know,
Yeah.
whether it's inside, outside, I don't care if you like your freaking hair today, your nose, anything. But I always encourage people to do that because we have to love ourselves today for who we are, not who we long to be tomorrow. You know?
Right. Pam, I want to come to you and ask you the same question about how you feel about fake goals or setting that, and your experiences with maybe looking into the mirror and judging yourself, as a, piece of shit or whatever you want to say. I mean, there's different terms, but I'm just saying we've all said negative things. So share a little bit of that, and then we're going to share a comment that came in, and then we'll move on.
Okay. Well, with like, I'm getting feedback. Are you all getting feedback?
A little bit.
A little bit.
Okay. Sorry. Anyways, with the fake limit thing, I would say probably the one limit that I've been setting for myself this year without really even thinking about it, but since you all are talking about it, I won't let myself gain back more than 10 pounds of the 30 pounds that I lost. As soon as I start creeping up on that 10-pound mark, I start freaking out, and without, I guess, really even really thinking about it, I kick it into high gear. I'm not sabotaging myself, and then I get it right back off. But then I get comfortable again. So that's one thing. And then with the looking in the mirror thing, I've had multiple people tell me to, write myself a note, put it on my fridge, put it on my mirror. And I have tried it, and I've done it like for a couple of days, but I feel like I have a hard time doing that for whatever reason. But I'm listening to you all, and I think maybe I should try it again. I do think it is a good thing. You do have to love yourself. You do have to accept yourself. It's just, I don't know, I just have a hard time with that. But maybe I'll try it again.
Khalif writes in and says, Alicia, I hate when people around me are always trying to tell me that it is okay for me to go off track to eat something that I shouldn't. As someone with a food addiction, having something one time can lead to a massive temptation to binge. So I end up either tuning them out or avoiding them altogether.
Yeah. People don't understand. People don't understand who don't have a food addiction. Like they don't get the fact that it's like, it's okay, just a little bit. Well, there's no such thing as just a little bit. Like that's how I feel. Like I feel like there's no such thing as just a little bit, and there just isn't. And unfortunately my mom does it. My Chris does it sometimes, and it's really, really hard. And for me to say no to them, like I'll say no, I don't want that. And it's like they can't accept no. They can't accept that I'm saying no to food, and it's like, but I've gotten stronger, and I'll sit there. I have gotten really strong about that, and I'll sit there and I'll say no. Like I will say it over and over and over till they're like, fine, whatever, but I just don't want it.
Yeah. I want to go to Zen, and Zen, what do you think, just from the experiences that you've went through, or for the rest of us that we've went through, what is some advice that maybe we can share with the viewers about ways that maybe we can start to change ourselves so that we can change our mistakes? Other than the things that, because everybody's thinking of different things, and maybe one thing that one of us says will trigger somebody. So what would your advice be to the viewers or to people that are struggling with these, not being able to learn from mistakes?
Well, let's see. I'm processing that question because I think with each person, where they have to start is different, maybe. But for myself, I think that what I have to do is just be real with myself and say, okay, you've obviously indulged too much in this, X, Y, or Z. And so therefore, we're going to cut that out completely for a while, or we're going to scale it way back to X number of times per week rather than 3 times a week or 4 times a week. When stuff becomes like every day that shouldn't be, for instance, peanut butter, okay, that can become every day real easy for some of us, and some of us don't like it, but I'm just using it as an example. It could be alcohol, whatever. And when it becomes too many days per week and you're noticing yourself like sliding into a hole where you're having more or you're having it more often, and it's becoming sort of a rote thing rather than something that you really should be focused on controlling how often you have it based on your goal that you want to lose rather than gain. That's what I do, is I start implementing, something where I'm going to just like either cut it out completely, or I'm going to scale it way back and not like take it with me if I'm going to work. I just will not bring it, or I will make sure it is not in my desk, or it's not in my house, or if it's in my house that someone else has it like locked somewhere, locked up, so I can't get it. Whatever I have to do to make sure that I don't get it is kind of what I have to do. And sometimes it means like after a while you lose a taste for something if you don't have it, and you start going to healthier choices like vegetables or fruit or whatever. And I think that learning to enjoy things in a different way, perhaps, as a substitute, if that's what you have to do, that's where I would start.
Okay, we're going to go to Alicia next, but I want to ask Zen, because I know fact that Zen has seen the show that I was talking about, Hungry for Change, and it sounds like Pam has also from the head nods that I saw.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if Alicia, have you seen that?
I think I have.
Okay, well, that's your assignment. I want you to watch that so that we can talk about it. But anyways, joking aside, Zen, did you feel like, I felt like I got a lot from those people, and it wasn't one person just telling you. It was different people sharing different viewpoints and opinions, and maybe they touched on different stuff. That's what I really liked about it. But did you think at all when you were watching it, and it doesn't mean that we're negative or that we're looking bad on this show, because I loved the show. I loved the movie. I kind of felt like some of those people were at a level way above me, and even if I was like working out religiously and I'd lost on my weight, I didn't know if I'd ever be at the level they were at, which is okay. I don't need to be at their level. But some of them, it just seemed to me like were, I mean, I just felt like some of them would never eat this and this and this. It seemed very, some of them seemed a little weird to me. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, I suppose. I think that they've taken it full circle, and that they've gotten rid of that issue that they had, which was their weight, which was killing all of them or keeping them from their activities and dreams and hopes in life, and that I believe even some of them were told that they were probably going to die if they didn't change. And none of them seemed to be able to do it on their own before they came to the realization of, to make those dietary changes for life for them. And yeah, some of them seem a little bit more hardcore than others, but I think that in the long run, this is where all of us are going to end up being. You know what I mean? If we're going to be successful, we are going to need to adapt some of the same thinking.
Yeah.
That's my thought. And that if we don't, we are going to be on a continuous roller coaster. And I personally want off. I really do. I want off.
You want off. So, let's go to Alicia. We're going to talk with Pam about the show in just a minute. But Alicia, what tips, viewpoint, helpful hints, whatever you want to share, can you let the viewers know as to ways that maybe if you're stuck in that rut of constantly making the same mistakes, that you can give them advice? Because each one of us are speaking to different viewers today, really. Yeah. Different people are hearing different things we say. Some of what we're saying is falling on deaf ears just because they can't relate. and some people are accepting it and being able to hear it. Alicia, what's your advice?
Well, first of all, one thing that really helped me, I think, from when I really started, trying to lose my weight just a few years ago, was I had a friend tell me that, because looking at myself at almost 600 pounds is very overwhelming. Like, to see that, it's overwhelming, and it's like I have so far to go, and I still feel like I have a long way to go. But I had someone tell me one time to take baby steps, take baby steps, and I think that people don't think that, like, changing one thing at a time will really make a difference. But for me, it made so much difference. I actually stopped drinking soda, and I started drinking water, and that alone helped me lose like 50 pounds. From stopping drinking soda, I actually got to where I could get off my insulin for my diabetes. It just really helped. And so I think just baby steps is like looking at it, because we do get overwhelmed with where we need to be and stuff. So I think just small steps and just moving more. Even when I was over 500 pounds, I still exercised. Yes, I had to sit on my bed and exercise, but I still exercised. And I think that just moving more and getting more energy and stuff, I think that makes such a difference. And it's just little things that you can do.
Yeah. We have a comment came in, a couple, I think I have a couple. So I'll share these. One of them comes in from Sherry, Revision, and it says, I agree with Rob. Early on, it was hard to watch through some of your videos. She's referring to Alicia, and this is meant with love for anybody that's listening. It was hard to watch through some of your videos, and self-love is one of the hardest things to do, especially when we often treat ourselves worse than any other person in our lives than when we are in the midst of a struggle. And that just goes to show, again, Alicia, the huge difference that you've made from when a lot of people started watching you to where you're at now, and along with Zen and myself and stuff like that. But you were a lot more in the forefront of videos. I mean, you have 1,000 videos or whatever or more on, where a lot of us aren't even anywhere near that. So that's why you stand out so much more, is because you have such more of a presence within the community on a regular basis, and we're all contributing in great ways. But Sherry, thank you for sharing that, because it is really nice that people see the huge change that Alicia has made and that Zen's made and I've made and everybody watching has made. We're all trying, and maybe we hit a roadblock sometimes and things like that, but the important thing is that we keep going.
And I want to say one thing about that. I this week especially, I watched some people, and it's like they've been really distraught about gaining like 2 pounds or 4 pounds or 6 pounds or whatever, and someone like me who's been almost 600 pounds will look at that and be like, that's nothing, that's nothing, and stuff. But I just really want to say that, for everybody, it's different. Like a 2 pound gain to someone may be nothing to me, but it's everything to them, and stuff. I mean, like you, Rob, you said you gained 12 pounds. Like, to me, it's like, I could lose, gain, whatever that, and no problem, and stuff. But I want everyone to know that everyone is different. Like, and so the 2 pounds to somebody might be just everything, and I know some people say, don't worry about it, why are you freaking out, don't worry about it. But we're all different, and we all,
right,
that could really set us back and stuff. So I mean, even though we're all different, like, we're going through the same struggles, but just at different weights and just different,
Yeah, it's all relative.
Embracing Wellness is here, Nadine, and she says those baby steps sure do add up, and that is true. Frenchie Girl in the USA is here. She just says hello to everybody. Lori has hope. She says she agrees with Zen. We are all different, so there is no set pattern for anyone. and that's very true. All of us are very unique in our own way. We have different struggles. Pam R. is here. Hello to everyone. Michael BSG, I believe I said that. Khalid. Thank you, everybody that came out tonight and is watching. We greatly appreciate that. Sorry, I'm a little under the weather. I do have a cold, so I'm surprised I'm doing as well as I am tonight, but glad to be here. Let's go to Pam. Pam, you fell off for a few minutes because you was taking a break or getting something to eat.
No, I'm sorry. Everyone froze. Everyone froze. I had to reboot my computer. I'm like, are you serious?
She had to go outside to kick someone's ass, is what she said.
That's right. Tell the truth, Pam.
I figured since we were all talking about eating and everything, I would accuse you of going and getting something to eat while the rest of us were thinking about food. No, in all seriousness, let's ask, first I want to ask you two questions real quick. The first one is, what do you think about, what do you think we can do, advice that you may be able to share with the viewers about how you think, if you're having trouble struggling with continuing to make the same mistakes, what are some things that might come to your mind as things that just anyone could try? Like we said, everybody's different, but it doesn't hurt to share those. Mm-hmm. And then the second part of it is, since you've watched Hungry for Change, what did you feel about the drastic measures that like some of these people have taken? And I'm not describing them as but it just seems like something I could never do. Seems like it's over the top, and maybe it's just because I'm at the point where I'm at. But what do you think?
Well, I would say that. Sorry, 1 second. I'm sorry. Can you?
Sure.
I'll be right back.
No problem at all. Okay, so let's go on to. Pam will be back. Let's go on to. Let me ask you guys this. I think we had a question come in. I do apologize. Hold on here. Gastric Joy says, have not seen the show in a while. I was glad I could join the show tonight. Congratulations to Gastric Joy, who's back. She had twins. They look absolutely cute and amazing. And then Sherry also said a 2-pound gain used to mean another 10 before I finished beating myself up. So let's talk about that, because we did talk about the weight gain and stuff, and that's something that a lot of us are dealing with, regain or standing still and not losing weight and stuff. Let's go to Zen first and just ask, when you have the weight gains, how do they affect yourself, and how do you keep yourself from going over the top, beating yourself up about it, and realizing that it's a fine line between making an excuse for yourself and allowing you to continue to do it, and saying, okay, I made a mistake, but I can't continue to beat myself up because I gotta love myself more than I hate myself. What's your thoughts on that, Ben?
Yeah, I think that it comes to a point where you've made the mistake or the gain or whatever has happened to you, and well, I mean, you've let it happen or you've made it happen, all the above, right?
Yeah.
So owning that and then just saying to yourself, okay, well, how much farther are we going to take this? And I still beat myself up, I think, but maybe not as much as I once did. So that's what I do, is I just try to remind myself that it's all relative. You just have to get back into what works, which is continuing to go to the gym, keeping the foods that are either too high calorie or the frequency of those foods that you believe are the offending foods out or at a greatly reduced number. That's what I have to do to get, and to stop beating myself up. I don't really know how I'd stop that, because it is pretty continuous until I see, and it's all internal, of course, until I start to see myself turning around. I don't know how to stop the beating myself up, because I do it on a daily basis, and I'm going to use the sticker and put it on my mirror, and say, it is okay to accept yourself for today.
Now, maybe what you should do is say, if you beat yourself up, you have to use your makeup to make a black eye, and then you got to wear that out all day, and that'll keep you from doing that. You know what I'm saying?
It's a great idea, Rob.
Rob's got jokes.
Alicia, what about you with the weight gain?
Oh, it's tough. Like it's been tough, and I'm not gonna lie. The last couple months for me have probably been some of the toughest because like after my paniculectomy, I couldn't really do anything. I could walk, and that was it. And I'm like, I hate walking. Like I hate just going for walks. That's just not me. I don't like it. So I sat here, and at first I got home, and the weight just, because after surgery you always get like all this fluid build up and stuff, and it's like, so I lost some of that, and then I gained some back, and right now I'm just battling because I'm like, what the heck, and I hear people say, well, it's that fluid, and I know it is, but it's frustrating. You don't want to hear that. And me just sitting down, and I found myself eating and eating and eating more because there was nothing else for me to do. And it was frustrating. I would get on that scale and get on the scale over and over and over, and I'm like, I can't do this to myself. Like, I just can't do this to myself. So I've just started becoming, now that they tell me that I can move more, I can, start working out and stuff, I've just started moving more and doing more than I ever thought was possible. But I think that number really gets to us. It really, really gets to us. Like, but when I think about it, when I get very, very down on myself, and when I do get really, really frustrated, I tend to go back and look at my first videos and see that really sad person that used to cry at the drop of a hat, who you used to, and I realized that I'm no longer 560 pounds anymore. I may not be exactly where I want to be right now, but I'm not where I used to be. And I think that right there really helps me get through, the number on the scale and stuff, because I'm like, okay, if I gain a few pounds, it's better than gaining the 200 pounds that I've lost back.
Right.
It happens. Sometimes we take 2 steps forward and we take 1 step back. It happens. It happens to everybody. But I think
Right.
we just have to, like, look at where we came from. I mean, all of us have come a long ways, and even if we gain a few pounds, we know how to turn it around.
Well, I think too, just weighing in on what you and Zen have, adding to what you and Zen have said, um, I know that like my massive weight gain from my vacation and stuff, a lot of people would be beside themselves with that. I realize that, the weight is there, and I have to do something. I have to quit making excuses. I have to address the issues that I have, and apparently since I started this in 2012, I have failed to do that. It doesn't mean I'm a failure, but I have failed to address some issues that needed to be addressed, and that I think is what the roadblock is for me. I will say again, I'm not trying to beat a dead horse. Having been texting last night, and the movie Hungry for Change really did something for me. And while I may never get to the level that those people are at, I'm not saying that I can't or that someday I won't, but I'm being realistic and saying maybe that's not somewhere I want to be. But the things they said and the things they had to say, I could see the ring of truth in them, and it was common sense, and it made sense to me. And I think if I can incorporate some of these and totally overhaul the way that I thought my journey needed to go or the way that I wanted it to go, and maybe implement some of these things, and instead of focusing on the scale, focusing on this particular goal, or looking long term, and just do what I need to do to get to where I need to be, which I may not have all those answers, but I'll find them by continuing to focus on self-love and accepting myself for who I am. Because regardless if I'm this weight or if I'm 80 pounds less, I'm a great person. But there has to be a ring of health in there somewhere. And that's really what I'm looking for. But I was able from watching the show to realize I've made several mistakes, and I've just had my wheel spinning in the snow, so to say, or in the mud, and it's time for me to move forward. And I have to really look at a lot of things and figure out what I need to do, and that's what I'm taking the time to do, and changing back to eating healthier and things like that, and really figuring it out. That's what I think we all have to do. What works for one doesn't work for everybody.
I have a really
Pam,
quick question for you about the scale, or for you
Yes, ma'am.
guys about the scale. It's like, because I learned this when I was, like I said, when I was almost 600 pounds, and I told myself that when I had lost 100 pounds, I would be so happy and stuff. So it's like, we always look at that number on the scale, but does that really make us happy? You know, does that number, if we lose, 20 pounds, does that really truly make us happy? Is that number going to make us happy? Is it going to make a difference? Because I don't think so. Like, I'm making myself happy today, yesterday, last week, by getting up and doing things, and it has nothing to do with the number on that scale.
Right. I think to a point that's true. And of course the problems don't go away when you get to any given number on a scale. That's ridiculous to think that that's true. But going to the number or close to the number where your happy place is, where you're near where you feel completely healthy, your doctor would agree that you are healthy and your clothes fit, you're getting into a new groove, you're kind of like taking on a new twist, shall we say, for your life. I think all that drives you to a happy place. And it isn't about any particular number, but it is about targeting and getting to that healthy range or happy place for you. Now, your happy place and my happy place may be two different places. Rob's happy place and your happy place and my happy place. We have all different, structures and how we want to live and how we want to feel. So, everybody has their own place. But to say a certain number, that's kind of a misnomer, right? At 150 pounds, I'm going to feel fantastic and all my problems are gone. It doesn't work quite like that,
Okay, let's go to Pam. And Pam, why don't we answer this question that Alicia asked? We can talk in the green room about the other thing, because I just wanted your personal opinion more than anything on that movie. We can talk about that after. And then we do have a question come in that I think is very important, so I do want to get to that one. We may run a little bit over tonight. You guys bear with us. Go ahead, Pam. Answer Alicia's question about the number on the scale.
Can you repeat what the question was? I don't know if I was here when you asked it. And
Alicia, repeat the question.
everyone keeps freezing on me. I'm sorry.
I asked about that number on the scale. Is that, does that make you happy? Like, if you see a number on the scale, does that truly make you happy? Or, like for me, other things make me happy. To me, it doesn't matter what that number really is on the scale, as long as it's not what I was,
Right.
Okay, Pam, answer that question.
I would say, like, for the first 5 seconds, if it's a loss, especially a number I haven't seen in, like, a long time, yeah, it makes me happy. But I do understand, and I feel, even if I lost all my weight, it's really not going to solve all my problems if I don't have that self-love and acceptance, and I'm not okay with the person that I am. Like, it's so much more than just the number on the scale. You know what I mean? Like, my attitude, the way that I treat myself, the way that I treat other people, there's just so many things about it more than just the number on the scale.
Yeah. I'm going to answer that question, and then we're going to go to the question that Janice Green has sent in. And Janice's question will be our last one for tonight. So if we didn't get to anyone's comments or questions, we do apologize, but we will go after the show and look at those and respond to you. Alicia, real quick to answer the question on the scale. I think the scale is an amazing tool. I think it's something we need to use. It's something to give us some sort of balance or let us know where we're at. I've always said the day we're born we're weighed, and the day we die we're weighed. We're weighed all the time in between, thousands of times from the day we're born to the day we die. I've always said that. I think a scale can be a best friend if it's used correctly, and I think it can be your worst enemy if it's not. If you are someone that is addicted to the scale and you allow it to control what you eat, how much you eat, how often you eat that day because you want to see that number go down, that's not good. What's the difference in being obese or overweight and having a health problem than to have a mental issue at the end with constantly weighing yourself and letting it dictate how your day is going to go? If you use the scale in that way, in my opinion, that is tragic. That is misuse of a tool that can be a great guideline for you to judge how you are doing on a daily, a weekly, a monthly, how often you weigh. I don't think there's anything wrong if people choose to weigh daily. I don't think weighing several times a day is healthy, but that's just my opinion, because I feel like if you're weighing several times a day, then you're doing it to see what you've done and then deciding what you're going to eat for the rest of the day, how often you're going to eat, or what you're going to do. And I think that puts you into, leads you in a direction that is not good for overall men. If you lose the weight and you don't change your mind or you make it worse, you're just as worse off as when you started. You really are. You may look better on the outside, but I don't think you're better on the inside. That's just my opinion. It doesn't mean it's right. That was a great question, Alicia. Thanks for asking that. And then here's the question that came in from Janice Green. It says, so how do you get in control again after losing it and beating yourself up every day? I keep saying tomorrow is a new day, yet I have been out of control for 3 months. My one year surgery is in a few weeks, and I am very discouraged. Okay, so that was the question that came in. I can repeat it if needed, but let's start with Alicia. Alicia, what's your advice to Janice on that?
Well, I think as I know that she had gastric bypass also, and I think as also having surgery, I get it. Like, I get it. Your first year, you're like, everything's great, but you get to a point where you're just like, you start tumbling down, and it's hard to get yourself back up. But like I said, I think that it's just going back, taking it one step at a time, baby steps is what's going to get you back on track. I mean, it really has made a difference for me in the last few months, and we can't expect to change everything back all at once. We just can't, because we get overwhelmed. And I think that really you need to look at it like baby steps, just
good advice.
And stop and not beat ourselves up, because when we beat ourselves up, it's just like we're like, forget it, what's the point, what's the use and stuff, and it doesn't help. So I think the best advice I could give is just take it one step at a time.
Okay. Kim, what about you?
Basically, I mean, we all have screwed up. I mean, there's so many ups and downs in the journey, but you have to always pick yourself back up and keep going. It's like we'll never hit our end goal if we don't keep picking ourselves back up. But it is easy to fall into a rut and then feel sorry for ourselves and then make excuses to why we can't start again. But you can. You just have to do it. And I'm in the middle of that myself right now, trying to pick myself back up and get back out there.
Good advice. Zen?
Okay, I hope you don't hate me for saying this, but I kind of think that because you are so soon out from your surgery, I suggest that you give yourself a little bit of tough love. And what I want to say to you is that we all who've had surgery, we put our life on the line to experience the change. And you made a commitment to yourself that you have to try to uphold that to yourself. And even though you've fallen down, and we all have our moments where we fall down after surgery, but because you are still in the honeymoon phase, which is good, this falling down is not going to hurt you probably as much as if you had fallen down after 18 months. So just try to, as the others have suggested, take small steps, go back to your basics. I don't mean go back to eating microscopic portions of food, but eat what is recommended for you to eat. Try to just clear your mind of other things that are in your way and put yourself back into the straight and narrow, one foot after the other, and repeat the same things that had you making a success at the beginning. You do have time to turn it around, but again, don't wait too long. And that's my advice to you, dear. I really hope and know that you can do it. You did make the commitment to yourself, just like we all did on any kind of journey. And just get back up and start doing it for yourself. And we do care about you. We all care about you, and that's the only reason I would be expressing those type of advice to you.
Great advice then. Janice, my advice to you is remember that there is a difference between holding ourselves accountable and beating ourselves up. We can hold ourselves accountable without beating ourselves up. And we have to remember that tomorrow should not be used as an excuse. You said in there that I keep saying that tomorrow is a new day. Tomorrow is a new day. And it's a new day for us to start something new or move forward when we're actually feel like we're stuck in that snow or that mud that I was talking about. But we've got to be very, very careful not to use tomorrow as an excuse. Because if tomorrow becomes an excuse, then it becomes, I'll start next week. Or I'll just wait to the new year, and maybe it's the beginning of December. We have to be really, really careful about that. And find self-love and hold yourself accountable, but don't beat yourself up. There's enough other people that have done that to a lot of us without claiming to be that we're victims. There's enough other people who have done that to us that we know, people that's made comments about us behind our back or just on the street that we don't even know, and they beat us up enough. We've had our fair and share of that. So the last thing you need to do is do that to yourself. You're worth more than that. Find the self-love, and remember that you have to hold yourself accountable and not make excuses. That's the best advice I can give you. We want to thank everybody for being with us tonight. We had an amazing show. We're looking forward to seeing you guys next Monday, the 22nd of December, for an amazing Christmas holiday show. Join us, you guys, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thank you again for joining us, and we will see you next Monday.
Bye.